On guys, teacher Eli here, and today we have a very special class. Today we have some tests here from the entrance exams. Sistema Acafe, vestibular de inverno de 2019, vestibular de verão de 2018, the entrance exam tests. And if I'm not wrong, guys, you have this entrance exam. You have Acafe vestibular on November 22nd of 2020. And in order to help you guys to prepare a little bit for this entrance exam, we're going to be taking a look at the two last year's tests, review the questions, and also check it out what can we possibly absorb from this information. So without further ado, guys, let's get started. Let me just take a look. Okay, I think this one is, what is this one? Is this 2000 and, okay, here we go. 2018, November 2018. This is the first test we're going to be reviewing today. So let's get to the English test again. I was just confirming. There you go, guys. So for our very first question here, we have a Copenhagen test, and I'm gonna take a read for you guys. Of this text, but first, you see here what title is more appropriated for the text above. So in order to answer this, we're gonna have to read and understand the text. Otherwise, how are we going to be able to know what is the best answer, the most appropriate answer? Here, obviously, I have the resolution. It says, in the world's happiest countries, Signs of Happiness Gap. Esse é o título original do texto. O texto mostra que, apesar da reputação de serem os países mais felizes do mundo, parte da população de países nórdicos não está totalmente satisfeita com sua vida. As outras alternativas são incorretas, pois restringem as informações contidas no texto. But how can we know that without possibly reading? Well, first of all, we gotta understand that the Nordic countries are Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Scandinavia, and, well, let's take a look here. So, Copenhagen. The Nordic countries regularly appear at the top of an annual list of the world's happiest nations. But their reputation as happiness superpowers marks the difficulties of a significant part of the population. A new analysis shows Finland, Norway, Denmark, and Iceland led the 2018 ranking of the World Happiness Report, and Sweden wasn't far behind, placing 9th. But in the 5 Nordic countries, an average of 12.3% of the population is struggling or suffering, according to the report by the Nordic Council of Ministers and the Happiness Research Institute in Copenhagen. The report, based on research conducted from 2012 to 2016, asked people to assess their satisfaction with life on a scale of 0 to 10. Those who answered 7 or higher were categorized by thriving. Those who responded 5 or 6 were classified as struggling, and those who said 4 or lower were deemed to be suffering. Most respondents in the Nordic countries reported satisfaction of 7 to 9. The Nordic states have a sophisticated social net. That means that young people face less pressure regarding education, health, or jobs than do many of their peers elsewhere. The countries have some of the world's highest taxes, but the schools and hospitals are free. Parental leave is generous, and unemployment benefits and care for the elderly help those no longer working. But with that security and help come expectations to do well and pressure to be as happy as one's peers. The trends highlighted in the report appear to be backed up by various nations' studies conducted in the region. In Sweden, the number of people with depression increased 20% in 10 years. The National Board of Health and Welfare said last year a rise that was particularly pronounced among the young. In Denmark, people ages 16 to 24 are more lonely than are people in their grandparents' generation. A national survey of 180,000 people conducted this year by the Danish Health Authority showed Mr. And then you have a Nordic name that I'm not gonna dare to pronounce, and that's actually not necessary to understand the name. But this Nordic person, Mr. of the Happiness Research Institute, noted that a performance culture and the growing use of social media contributed to depression, loneliness, and stress. So the problems are difficult to solve, he said. Let's say social media are a major cause, then what we do? Ban them, something else would come in their place. So let's analyze why letter B is the correct answer. Obviously, letter A, Copenhagen, something doesn't rhyme. There's nothing related to the text. Literally nothing. The text is about a research regarding to happiness in the Nordic countries, which are Norway, Denmark, Iceland, and Sweden. So nothing relates to rhyming names. Letter C would say that youth happiness in the Scandinavian countries. Youth happiness in Scandinavian countries. This is actually not just about the youth happiness in Scandinavian countries. You see that in alternative B, in the world's happiest countries, sign of a happiness gap. Because in this text, we have the most appropriate context in order to represent that although these countries, the five Nordic countries, are beneath the 9 happiest countries in the world, we had a percent increase in their depression levels, mainly in Sweden. You take a look at this paragraph right here, when they mention here, the third paragraph. So in Sweden, the number of people with depression increased 20% in 10 years. So this is what we call a sign of a happiness gap between or among the world's happiest countries. And finally, Nordic countries doomed to suffering, literally nothing related because they are the happiest ones. But even though the happiest countries have signs of a happiness gap. So this is virtually text interpretation. Obviously, letter A and D are completely discarded. You could actually mess up with letter C. That's the importance, guy, and this is actually the tip right here. This is the importance of reading the texts with attention, right? Let's go to the next one. And in the next one, they say select the correct statements according to the text. So here is saying that only alternative 4 is the correct one. So let's take a look at the 3 first ones and see why they aren't considered correct, right? First, a new study shows that Nordic countries' reputation of happiness superpowers unveils the difficulties of a considerate part of their people. Uh, no, this is not what the study shows. This is literally not what the study shows. The Nordic country population who answered 4 or lower for their satisfaction with life were disregarded to be suffering. Actually, no. Actually, no. If you take a look here in the text, if you take a look here, so ask the people their life scale from 0 to 10, and those who answered 7 or higher categorized as thriving, those who respond 6, 5 or 6 was classified as struggling, and those who said 4 or less were deemed to be suffering. In this case here, they say that they were disregarded to be suffering. They were not disregarded, they were deemed. So it's virtually the opposite. Disregarded is the opposite of deemed. So that's the reason this alternative is wrong. Due to the advanced social system, youth in the Nordic countries are under less distress regarding education, health, and jobs than elderly elsewhere. This case is actually the opposite again. They say here, due to the advanced social system, youth in Nordic countries are under less distress. Let's take a look in what they actually say here. I think it's in the 4th paragraph. So, okay, there we go here. So in Denmark, people ages 16 to 24 are more lonely than people at their grandparents' generation. God damn it, email. There you go. Grandparents' generation. Thank you so much, email. Can you please just close it? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sorry about that, guys. And a national survey of 180,000 people conducted the year. I'm not finding here about the elders, guys. Let's see, present. Okay, there we go. So the Nordic states have, it's in the 3rd paragraph, by the way, have sophisticated social. That means the young people face less pressure regarding education, health, and jobs than many of their peers elsewhere. And in this affirmation right here, they say that due to the youth, Nordic countries are under less distress regarding education. So, and jobs than elderly elsewhere. It's not elderly. It's not elderly. It's actually their peers, right? So regarding education, health, or jobs, do many of their peers as well. And peers and elders are totally different expressions. Peers would be friends, classmates, or people you know, while elderlies would be older people, guys. So basically, this information is also incorrect, which can also confuse people because there's just one small word that makes total difference right there. That's the importance of reading the questions, rereading the texts, taking a look at it again. Let's take a look at the correct one. So number 4, say that the tendency emphasized in the report by the Nordic Council Minister and Happiness Research Institute in the Copenhagen seems to be supposed by several national investigations. A alternativa 4 é uma paráfrase do quinto parágrafo do texto, portanto está correta. As demais alternativas estão incorretas, pois elas alteram informações contidas no texto. Very, very easy, guys. So, what meaning does the expression parental leave in the 4th paragraph convey? A legal withdrawal from work as a benefit to care for one's babies. Essa expressão equivale à licença do trabalho que os pais recebem para tomar conta de seus bebês assim que nascem ou logo após uma adoção. Por exemplo, as demais alternativas são incorretas, pois se referem a outro tipo de benefício. For example, letter A methodology of teaching parents to be generous to their children. Actually, no. A monetary benefit to parents receive when they have more than one child. It's not Bolsa Família, right? And lower taxes due to those who have become parents. Nothing related to that. And that's the reason you need to pay a lot of attention. You can always reread the paragraphs, right? Let's take a look if we can find this. Actually, we can be struggling to find this information here, right? A legal, sorry, let's go again. Fourth paragraph. So parental leave, fourth paragraph. So let's take a look in this paragraph. So first paragraph, second, third, and fourth. Let's take a look. And then only in the present verse. Oh no, there we go. It's this one here. This is because here's the first, second, third, and fourth paragraph. Actually, right? On the plane. Oh, there you go. So countries have some of the world's highest taxes, but schools and hospitals are free. Parental leave is generous, and unemployment benefits and care for elderly help those alone working. But that's security and help come from expectations to do well and pressure to be as happy as one peers. So here they use parental leave as one of the benefits. So actually this question is really hard because you need to understand the context of the benefit and probably understand the relation between the word translations to get this answer right. And attention and cultural awareness are the tips to answer these kinds of questions correctly. Very hard question, by the way. Based on the information given in the text, despite schools and hospitals being free, and despite all the social benefits from those who do not work, why are 12.3% of the Nordic population struggling or suffering? Because they are expected to do well to be as fortunate as their equals. Fantastic there. No quarto parágrafo, o texto diz que toda a segurança e ajuda provida pelo governo tem-se a expectativa de que as pessoas sejam bem-sucedidas e que sejam tão felizes quanto seus equivalentes. Essa alternativa, para fazer a frase, todas as outras alternativas estão erradas, pois não respondem à pergunta dessa alternativa. Basically, and you need some text interpretation and comprehension to understand that as more possibilities you have, more you're going to be demanded on. So sometimes you struggle to basically reach the expectations people have towards all the possibilities you have. All right. Number 19, what class of word does rise belong in the sentence? In Sweden, the number of people with depression increased 20% in 10 years. The National Board of Health and Welfare said last year a raise that was particularly pronounced among the young. Fifth paragraph. It's basically a noun. Rise é substantivo que, combinado com o artigo definido ou uma, forma um sintagma nominal. As demais alternativas estão incorretas, pois indicam que rise seja um verbo, um adjetivo ou um advérbio que representam classes de palavras diferentes. Okay, so let's go first. What is a verb? Verb is actually an action, all right? For example, when I say the government is raising the minimum wage, that's a verb because it defines an action, right? An adjective is basically a characteristic. For example, the rise of the phoenix. An adverb basically categorizes an action, so rise cannot be an adverb in any means, by any means. All right? That would be risingly, but makes no sense. And obviously, it might be a noun. A rise, a or an are going to be used sometimes before verbs to classify them as the noun in the paragraph. So be very attentive to that. We actually studied this a lot in the first quarter of the year, and I did a review about this in loco experativo a couple of weeks ago. Next one here in the sentence, The report, based on research conducted from 2012 to 2016, asked people to assess their satisfaction with life on a scale from 0 to 10. The underlying verb can be replaced by, actually it was not underlined, it was bold, but okay, it was a mistake. By which other verb without changing their meaning? Rate. Yes, rate, a taxa, né? O índice, right? The other ones like make no sense at all. They are actually phrasal verbs. Uma das definições do referido do verbo é avaliar, calcular, e isso foi solicitado às pessoas na pesquisa em questão. As demais alternativas são corretas. It's basically grammar knowledge, right? Vocabulary knowledge. This one is actually really, really easy. You don't even have to read the text to answer this one, right? Last one for this test, let's take a look. So the adjective Danish in Danish Health Authority, fifth paragraph, refers to Denmark, which would be the adjectives used to refer to the other Nordic countries in the same context. Easy. Finnish, Norwegian, Icelandic, and Swedish, because we're talking about nationalities there. So this is basically a geography topic, and if you are a well-known globalized person, you should know this. Danish é um adjetivo correto para ser brasileiro dinamarquês, da mesma forma que Finnish é um adjetivo para finlandês e etc. Beleza? Ok, pessoal, vamos dar uma olhada então na nossa próxima prova. Aqui é de 2019, inverno de 2019. Check it out. I think I passed here. Let's come back a little. I think that's it. Is that it? I don't know. I don't know. No, that's not it. Give me 1 second here. There we go. I found it. It's this one here, English. So let's first take a look and read the text, right? So basically we have the number of lines there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. You see that they are not right placed in order, so that would be 6. So that would be 6 right here. 7 would be this one. 8 would be this one. 9, 10, 11, and 12. 13, 14, and 15. So be aware that sometimes the printing can mess up the line. So let's take a look first. So this summer, Jenny Stepien walked down the aisle in Swiss Vale, PA, arm in arm with the man whose life was saved 10 years ago by her murdered father's donated heart. Tough, bittersweet for assembled family members. The moment clearly demonstrated how deeply moving and important organ donation can be. In fact, one person can save or improve the life of up to 50 other people by sharing his or her organs, eye and tissue. But sadly, over 20 people die every day because of organ shortages. Only 40% of the US adults are registered organ donators. 48% offer their legs, 45% tissue. And if you are one of the reluctant who worry, doctor won't do everything possible to save your life because you are a donor. That's just not true, and here's why. You are seen by the doctor who specializes in your condition, not the one who harvests organs. And doctors have every incentive to save you. Not only do they care about you, their reputation is on the line. You also may worry you'll be declared dead prematurely. In fact, organ donators have a right to extra tests to determine if they are really deceased at no cost. So if you've been on the fence about becoming a donor, think about what your legacy could do, and it's easier than ever to sign up. You don't have to wait until you renew your driver's license. Apple's Apple's Update Health app lets you register to become an organ, eye, and tissue donator. Let's check out the questions though. Which of these titles below reflects the main idea of the text one? So the main idea, the purpose of text one. It's basically busting organ donation myth. Myth. Because actually the letter A, organ donators, the right to extra tests is actually nothing related. Apple's app aiding organ donation. They actually mention the Apple's apps, but that's not the main idea in organ donation. Assembling families, no, that's not the main reason. Now, busting organ donation myth. Basically, what they do, they debunk some misleading ideas people have towards organ donation. And debunking is the same thing as busting them. So that's basically what the text is doing. That's virtually the main idea. This is the purpose, this is the ideology behind it. So, esse é o título original do texto e mostra claramente o objetivo principal de quebrar os mitos que inibem as pessoas de se tornarem doadoras de órgão. Todas as outras alternativas são incorretas por restringem as informações contidas no texto. According to the first paragraph in text 1, what happens to Jenny Stepien in summer? Letter A says she went to Swissvale in Pennsylvania, USA, to meet the man whose life was saved by her father's donated heart after being murdered. No. Her life was saved by an army. In Jenny's wedding ceremony, look at that. In Jenny's wedding ceremony, she was led to the groom by the man who received her father's heart. Essa é a alternativa correta. A expressão walk down the aisle, em inglês, significa casar. No texto, a expressão indica que ela foi conduzida na sua cerimônia de casamento pelo homem que recebeu o coração do seu pai, doado após ser assassinado. That can actually mess up with letter A, right? If you don't know this kind of expressions, basically, this one, that's a trickster one. That's a trickster one. Be always aware that there will be trickster ones for you to answer though. Let's go for number 17 here. According to text 1, which alternative does not, pay attention to this, does not describe a myth that makes people unwilling to become organ donators? Letter A, doctors about organ donors and strive hard to save their lives. Essa alternativa não descreve um mito que assusta as pessoas e as inibe de se tornar-se doadores de órgãos. Representa, sim, a postura dos médicos diante de seus pacientes, que, além de zelar pela vida das pessoas, preocupam também com sua reputação. Todas as alternativas relatam mitos que acompanham a doação de órgãos. That's the really important reason that I mentioned to be attentive by the heading of the question. Does not describe a myth. Does not describe it. All of those others actually describe a myth. Number 18, what does the expression to be on the fence mean in paragraph number 4? One more trickster here. And it's basically one is torn between whatever or not to become an organ donator. Essa alternativa correta, pois é a equivalente para a expressão estar em cima do muro. Literal one, trickster though, but literal one em português é usada para expressar que a pessoa está indecisa em relação à ação a ser tomada. If you know the expression in Portuguese, you could probably deduce by the meaning, but still a trickster one, I would say. As stated by Collins Dictionary, a proverb is a short sentence that people often quote, which gives advice or tells you something about life. Having this definition in mind, which of the proverbs below has the closest meaning to people who complain the most are the ones who get attention or what they want? Basically, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. A tradução literal desse provérbio é a roda que range é aqui, lubrifica, que é um provérbio que pode ser utilizado para retratar a situação descrita no enunciado. Todas as outras alternativas estão incorretas, pois não se enquadram no contexto do enunciado. As pessoas não deveriam criticar os outros por defeitos. The pot is calling the kettle black. Que elas mesmas apresentam, né? Os defeitos que elas mesmas apresentam. As pessoas tendem a não repetir algo que, quando tiveram uma experiência negativa na primeira vez que o fizeram. Once bitten, twice shy. Pessoas medíocres são as que mais fazem barulho. That's actually letter A here. Here's saying letter D, but that's actually letter A. An empty vessel makes much noise. Okay, so it's not D, that's A right here. D is the correct alternative. That means a roda que range que lubrifica, que é o provérbio que pode ser utilizado para retratar a situação do contexto aqui, que é basicamente a proverb is a short sentence that people often quote, which one gives you gives advice or tells you something about life. The context meaning people who complain the most are the ones who get attention on what they want. The squeaky wheels gets degrees. Okay? So negative inversion is a structure largely used in English to make an idea more emphatic or dramatic. As in line 10 of the text, 1. From the alternatives below, which sentence is grammatically incorrect when it comes to such structures? Not once they did offer to stay. Considerando que a frase possui uma locução adverbial negativa, a estrutura utilizada para dar ênfase é a inversão, ou seja, deslocar tal locução para o início da frase, seguida do verbo auxiliar did, do sujeito they e do complemento offer to say. As demais alternativas apresentam estruturas corretas em se tratando da ênfase da frase. Por exemplo, hardly had I arrived when Margie started accusing me. No sooner had he closed the door than the phone started ringing, and under no circumstances can you tell the children about the accident. Okay. Proceeding to number 21, best for last. Classify the following words as they are employed in text 1. Moving, line 3. Shortages, line 5. Harvest, line 9. And then line 9, 11. Ever, line 14. And renew, 14. Então, um adjetivo, um substantivo, um adjetivo e um verbo. So, adjetivos são as palavras que caracterizam os substantivos, pronomes. Moving descreve organ donation, uma locução substantiva. E dead descreve you. Substantivos são palavras que exercem a função de sujeito ou de objeto nas sentenças. Sorted é o núcleo do objeto indireto na frase em que está inserido. Verbos são as palavras que indicam ação, situação, mudança de estado na sentença. Harvest e renew expressam a ação nas frases em que fazem parte. Advérbios são palavras que modificam ou descrevem verbos, adjetivos ou os outros advérbios ou orações. Ever modifica o adjetivo easier. Muito bem, pessoal. Espero que essa revisão possa ter aquecido vocês bem para o dia 22. Eu vou ficando por aqui. Até semana que vem. Valeu, falou. Thank you.